Good morning, students. Welcome to GCE Connect, subject Operations Research, Module 3, Lecture 1. So, in today's lecture, we'll be starting off with a new module, Module 3, Simplex Method 2, which actually deals with duality theory. Now, what is this duality theory? Since we have already learned about what is a simplex method in linear programming, now, what is the duality in linear programming is what we are going to learn today in today's session. Okay, so starting off with the theoretical aspects of duality theory, what is the essence of duality theory or what is the concept of duality theory? In simple words, if I want to explain what is duality, so far we have this is just to give an analogy. So far we have learned like how 3 multiplied by 5 is 15, and in this module, that is duality theory, we'll be learning how 5 multiplied by 3 is also equal to 15. So this is a very simple analogy that I am trying to give you here in very broad terms. So basically in duality theory, the linear programming in duality implies that each problem can be analyzed in two different ways, but having equivalent solutions. Like the example that I gave just now, they will have both the equivalent solutions. Now, each linear programming problem stated in the original form is associated with the another linear programming problem called dual linear programming problem or in a dual theorem. Now, this the two problems are replica of each other because they are basically the same. Like the analogy that I gave, 3 multiplied by 5 is 15 and 5 multiplied by 3 is again also 15, right? So the two problems are replica of each other. Now the dual of the primal problem is unique. The dual of the primal problem is unique. In other words, again, uh, if we can say that 3 multiplied by 5 is our primal problem, then the duality of it, that is 5 multiplied by 3, is unique. There is no other substitution for 5 multiplied by 3 to be equal to 15, right? So that is what is duality of a problem. Primal problem is unique. The simplex method is such that if the primal is solved, it is equivalent to solving the dual. So once you solve the primal problem, it is equivalent to solving a dual problem. Again, to give the same analogy, like 3 multiplied by 5 is equal to 15. If you solve that, then of course 5 multiplied by 3 is also equal to 15. So if you can able to solve that 3 multiplied by 5 is 15, then you will be able to solve 5 multiplied by 3. This is very in broad terms is what I am saying. Or another way, in other words, if we want to understand what is the duality in linear programming, uh, like for example, for every linear programming problem, there is a there is a related unique LPP problem. That is another linear programming problem, which is a unique, but it is related, which uh, which involves the same data, which also describes the original problem. The problem or the data which is describing our original problem will be the same data in the unique LPP problem or the secondary problem that we get. Or the given original problem, the original program or the original problem, you can say, for example, the first analogy that I gave, that 3 multiplied by 5, or you can take any other analogy for that matter, like let's say 8 multiplied by 6 is 48, right? So let's assume that this is our primal problem. So the given original problem or original program, you can say, is called the primal program, and this program can be written by transposing. Transposing is nothing but the reversing of rows and columns. So this program can be rewritten by transposing the rows and columns of the algebraic statement or constraints or the equations that we have in the problem, right? So inverting the program in this way will be resulting into the duality of that particular problem, right? Because we are inverting that problem in other way, like the analogy that I gave, like 8 multiplied by 6 is nothing but 48. So 6, if you inverse it, if you transpose it, if you exchange the rows and columns, or in other words, just the, in this case it is just the two numbers. So if you transpose it, if you reverse it, 6 multiplied by 8 is also equal to 48, right? So that is called a dual program or dual problem. This is nothing but the duality. Now, in the variables of the dual program or a dual problem are known as dual variables, or they are also known as shadow prices, depending on the various resources, of course. And the variables in the primal program or primal problem is just the primal variables or the variables, you can say. Now, the two programs have very close relationship between them. They are very closely related properties, so that the optimal solution of the dual problem gives you the of complete information about the optimal solution of the primal problem and vice versa. Or in other words, in simpler words, if you reframe this, uh, the two programs, that is primal program and the dual program, have very closely related properties, so that the optimal solution of the dual problem gives complete information about the optimal solution of the primal problem, and vice versa. That is, the the primal solution, the optimal solution of the primal problem gives you the complete information of the optimal solution of the dual problem, right? So likewise, there are multiple relationship or related properties in between primal and dual problems. So that is called primal dual relationship, right? So now what is this? What are these key relationship between primal and dual problems? So just to give you a brief idea about it, some more understanding on that. That is, in broad terms, it has weak duality property, it has strong duality property, it has complementary solution property, and complementary optimal solution property. Now, what is this weak duality property? In weak duality property, if let's say a variable x is a feasible solution of the primal program, then y is a feasible solution of the dual problem or program. Then the equation becomes Cx less than or equal to Yb. Now what is this? You will understand it slowly when we solve a problem. But here, this inequality must hold for any pair of feasible solution of primal and dual problem. That is called weak duality property. Now in strong duality property, exactly the opposite, that is, if let's say a variable x star is an optimal solution of the primal and y star is the optimal solution for the dual problem, then c x star is equal to y star b. I hope you are getting it. Please pause the video wherever you don't understand and you can go through it once again. Right? Okay. So complementary solution property is nothing but at each iteration of the simplex method, simultaneously it identifies a solution x for the primal problem and a complementary solution y for the dual problem. So the equation in Cx is equal to Yb, if x is the optimal for primal problem, then y is the non-feasible for the dual problem. Complementary optimal solution property. Now, at the final iteration of the simplex method, simultaneously it identifies an optimal solution x star for the primal problem and a complementary optimal solution y star for the dual problem. Now note here, the optimal solution is the same. We are just finding out the duality, right? Like the analogy that I gave, 8 multiplied by 6 is equal to 48, and also 6 multiplied by 8 is also 48, right? And the relationship can be expressed as Cx star is equal to y star b. So in other words, if you broadly summarize what is the relationship between primal and dual problem, basically in an equation, in a given problem, given LPP problem, the primal problem is a maximization problem and a dual problem is a minimization problem. I'll explain this with an example here. Let's say this example. This is just an example, just an illustration for defining the relationship between the primal and dual problems. Right. So primal problem will always be a maximization problem, and dual problem will always be a minimization problem. That is, here you can, in the example you can see, let the primal problem be z max is equal to c1 x1 plus c2 x2 plus so and so till cn xn, subject to some constraints, a11 x1 plus a12 x2 so on, a1 xn less than or equal to b1, and similarly other second constraint, a21 x1 plus a22 x2 plus so on till a2 and xn less than or equal to b2, and so on with the inequality constraints here. Sorry, non-negativity constraints here. Right. Now what is the duality of this is called the primal solution. This is the primal problem, which is a maximization problem. Now duality will always be a minimization problem. So when you see the duality of it, the duality of the problem is defined at, we have taken, just to differentiate the primal problem from the dual problem, we have taken the variable w here. But in the textbook, there are different variables used, like y variable used somewhere and so on. But this is nothing to do with respect to the letters like w or y, whatever it is. It is completely depend. The choice of the variables depends on you. But a different name is given just to differentiate a dual problem from a primal problem. Okay, so coming back to the duality of the problem. So duality of the problem is defined as, we have taken here, let w1, w2 and w3 be the dual variables, like I have mentioned in the discussion before. The variables which are there in the duality problem are called dual variables, and the duality problem will be a minimization problem, right? So here we can see the objective function is a minimization function with minimization z star is equal to B1 W1 plus B2 W2 so on till Bm Wn, subject to some constraints given here. Okay. Now you can notice the difference here. All the inequalities here in primal problem are less than or equal to. So this is the standard form of a primal problem. And equalities in duality property is greater than or equal to. So this is the second relationship between a primal and dual problem. That is, the primal problem, in primal problem we have less than or equal to type constraints, whereas in the dual problem we have greater than or equal to type constraints. Now looking at these variables and these variables, you can identify that another relationship between primal and dual is n variables and m constraints. I'm just taking a random variable, that is n variable here. You can see n variables and m constraints, total number of m constraints in primal problem, but in dual problem we have m number of variables. We have m number of variables. See here, wm, m number of variables, but we have n number of constraints. Sorry, the last constraint here has been cropped out, but the total number of constraints we'll have will be n here. So this is nothing but the reversing of the primal function that we are doing, right? So like we have like I have discussed earlier, that the duality is nothing but the transpose or a reverse of the primal function, right? So this is another relationship in primal and dual problem, that primal have n variables have n variables and m constraints, whereas the in duality you have m variables and n constraints. Now another relationship here in primal and dual problem is the objective function coefficients in primal problem is nothing but the right hand side constants of the constraints in duality, right? For example, here the coefficients in primal problem, this is the primal problem, right? This is the primal problem we have. The coefficients in the primal problem, that is c1 c2 till cn, are nothing but the right hand side constants in the dual problem, c1 c2 and so on till cn. Okay, so this is another relationship between primal and dual, and vice versa, that is right hand side values or right hand side coefficients in primal problem are the objective function coefficients in dual problem. You can see here right hand side coefficients in primal problem are b1, b2 and bm, which are nothing but the coefficients in the objective function of the dual problem here, b1, b2 and bm, right? So that is another relationship between the primal problem and dual problem. So I hope you have understand what is the primal dual relationship in the duality theory. So before we move on to the problem, just a brief characteristics of what is the a brief overview of the characteristics of the dual problem. How can we identify, or what can we say the uh, nature of the duality problem is, or the characteristics of a dual problem is? Like, the duality of the dual problem is nothing but a primal problem. That is the first characteristics of a dual problem, right? Just to give an analogy, if you remember in mathematics, the negative of negative is nothing but positive, right? So likewise, the dual of the dual LPP problem is nothing but primal problem, right? Another characteristics of a dual problem is if either the primal or the dual of the problem has the optimal solution, then the other one also will have the same optimal solution, right? Like again, let's come back to the same analogy that we used, right? 3 multiplied by 5 is equal to 15 is the optimal 15 is the optimal solution. So 5 multiplied by 3 will also be the same optimal solution, or 8 multiplied by 6 is the 48, which is the optimal solution. And similarly, 6 multiplied by 8 will also give you the optimal solution as 48. This is just an analogy that I am giving you, right? Okay, so the third characteristic is if any of the two problems has only an infeasible solution, then the value of the objective function of the other is unbounded, right? When the value of the objective function of the other is the unbounded, only that is the possible case wherein we will have infeasible solution for that particular problem. The fourth characteristic is the value of the objective function for any feasible solution of a primal is less than the value of objective function for any feasible solution of the dual problem, right? Why? If you can recall the relationship between the primal and dual, primal has less than or equal to type constraints, whereas the dual has greater than or equal to type constraints. That is the reason we can say the value of the objective function for any feasible solution of the primal is less than, please note here, it is less than the value of the objective function for any feasible solution of the dual problem. Fifth constraint, if either the primal or the dual has an unbounded objective function value, then the solution to the objective function problem is infeasible, right? I repeat it again, if either the primal or the dual has an unbounded objective function, then the solution to the objective function is infeasible, because simple fact, because the objective function value is unbounded, right? Either it can be a primal solution, a primal problem, or a dual problem, but the objective function value is unbounded, and that is why it becomes infeasible. Now the sixth characteristics of duality theory is if the primal has a feasible solution but the dual does not have the feasible solution, then the primal will not have finite optimal solution, or vice versa. That is, if the dual has the feasible solution but the primal does not have the feasible solution, then the dual will not have the finite optimal solution, right? Okay, so these are the characteristics of dual theory. Uh, Now, what are the advantages of this duality? Right, from it yields a number of useful theorems, and it indicates the fairly close relationship that exists between the linear programming and duality. Also, the economic interpretation of the dual helps the management in making future decisions, more critical decisions, and computational procedure can be considered reduced. Then the duality can be used to solve a linear programming problem that of the simplex method in which the initial solution is infeasible. Right? So duality helps you to solve those problems for which the initial solution is infeasible. Right? So I hope you have understood the theoretical aspect of this. If not, then pause the video wherever you have not understood, go through the content completely, try to understand it, and if you still have any doubt, you are free to ask the doubt in our subject group.